Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Hello, everybody. We're here. Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. We're here. We're ready to have a lot of fun. Go ahead and jump on the fun and subscribe. You may as well, right here, if you want to have some fun, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Give us a rate, review me, all that fun stuff too, okay? We love to hear from you. Comment too. We love to hear your comments. Right? There's a party going on. Why don't you be a little bit a part of it, even you introverts? I'm an introvert, but I like to make comments too. So let's go ahead and do that. And I look forward to hearing from you. I have an incredible guest. You're going to have so much fun together with us today and learn incredible new things about yourself and about your purpose and what's true and what's not true on the path, and to rock it out as a spiritual rock star. And so I'm grateful to have you here today, Shivany.
I am so excited. Let's have a party. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's have fun.
Life's a party. Let's have it, right? So let's act like it's as though it is, because it is. It's a party. Let's have some fun. Okay. All right. So let's talk about Shivany. Now, Shivany is known for finding the gold in your business and has helped hundreds of clients find their magic key to tap into the flow of money so it becomes predictable, reliable, and fun. Love that. Love that. She is a highly sought after women's empowerment coach, intuitive business mystic, master energy healer, psychic, inspirational speaker, co-author of the Book of Inspiration for Women by Women, and has been featured on Self-Discovery Radio and New Human Living, and on the
Cavernous.
Kanavos TV show. It's the one thing I was going to ask you to pronounce. I didn't do it though. Okay, she is an expert on personal and spiritual transformation and helps women entrepreneurs all over the world live their soul's calling in business and life, using the Akashic Records as a grounded tool in order to get information on who you are at a soul level. She lives in Far North Queensland, Australia. So it's early in the morning where she is, and later in the day where I am. It's so fun. And where the rainforest meets the Great Barrier Reef. And when she is not on Zoom mentoring her clients, she is often spotted frolicking with her, what is this? The Rhodesian
Isis and Akash.
and Isis, the new puppy on the beach. And I've already kind of met them. I heard them in the background earlier. So anyway, lots of fun with Shivany. It's so funny. Hadn't even really focused on the fact you have fun in your bio, but I was like, we're gonna have fun. I just could feel it. All right, Shivany, you being an intuitive business mystic and all that stuff. I know that was all part of what drew me to your energy. And I remember when I connected with you, even though you're very intuitive, I think you were like, what? Why are we connecting? What's going on? And I was just like, I'm like, I don't know. I'm following my intuition here. Okay. And then we did want to talk about this show and you coming on it. So it's good to get to know you and have you on the show today. So, but I love the fact that you help people to have fun in their business and get things going predictably, more easily, just really being who they are is what it sounds like. But I know you've had your own journey. It's funny to, I mean, and this is true for all of us. It's true of me. It's true for you. It's what we need to learn is what we tend to teach, right? So you had to learn yourself, oh my God, making my life too hard, too complicated or whatever, right? I just know it without even you saying it yet. So
I'm a
tell us.
Capricorn, remember? They are really serious, especially as a kid.
Right.
So
Exactly.
now, it's like, I can laugh about it.
Exact. Now we can laugh, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about that, and how your process of your own transformation to start letting things be funner and easier and more predictable for yourself, and then what you've learned through all that, and then therefore what you're teaching others.
mm, mm. Oh God, I mean, it's been with everything. I think it's a journey. Um, so I already grew up. Well, not growing up. I was born open, and but I made it a bit more interesting. So I chose a mother that is a narcissist. She's still alive. She's 94, and a dad who used to be an atheist, but he changed before he actually passed over. And so, of course, and I'm a single child, right? So I had nobody to bounce off, really. And so, of course, I was very crazy, right? Because my parents didn't have access to what I have access to. And then but I've always really wanted to know already when I was 14, who am I? Why am I here? What is this all about? Yeah. And very early on, sorry, you hear my dogs now.
Yeah, it's part of the
Very
party.
early,
I told you guys this is gonna be
they're
fun.
having a
It's part of the
party.
party. I encourage everybody to love every sound we hear, okay? Because that's part of the party. Okay, yeah, go on.
So yeah, always interested. Why am I here? What is this all about? And started basically with yoga, then Pilates, energy healing, rebirthing. You know, it's been, and then eventually came to the Akashic, and the newest now is human design. So I think I'm the eternal student. And yeah, and with the Akashic, it's been a real eye opener because for me, for those of you who don't know what the Akashic is, it's basically an energetic database where what you've done at soul level and who you are is recorded. And in the Bible, it's referred to as the book of life. And so everyone has their own Akashic record. And there is really, in my mind, nothing deeper or higher or like that's it. You know, the Akashic records are it. So if you are able to clear certain restrictions and karmas and blocks, your life will change because you're a different person. And also, if you know who you are at soul level, what your gifts are, your soul specialization, it's a shortcut because the more you can lean into who you are, the easier life will be. But also, the side effect is you make more money because we are abundant. Yeah, we are inherently abundant, every one of us.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, 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 yes.
yes. No matter what happens outside around us.
So what you're saying is the Akashic Records was a huge key for you to understand yourself and get that spiritual connection, and really live your life from who you really are. Is kind of, if I were to translate what you're saying so far, is that sort of
Yeah,
accurate? Or?
yeah,
Mhm,
yeah.
mhm, mhm,
And what I help my clients is like most of my clients, they are overworked. They work way, way, way too hard, put too many hours in, and in a way that's throwing spaghetti against the wall. And when I look at their records and work with them, usually I'm actually taking out certain things they're doing in business and we're adding things that are aligned for them. So usually they work actually less, but we are more aligned and more focused. And that is the game changer. And
mhm,
I think, especially now, like with the shift that we are experiencing, and if I use human design, the prophecy, or not even prophecy, I mean, the, what do you call it? What's going to happen in the future, basically. We are in a big, big shift, and we are moving into spirit and individuation. Yeah, in human design, you have incarnation crosses, and it's basically the background frequency. And we're moving from the cross of planning to the cross of the sleeping phoenix. And that will happen, finishes actually, or will happen in 2027. So things are heating up as we experience. And the new energy is very, very different. It's really about you becoming unashamedly your unicorn self. In other words, yeah, who are you at soul level? We need to do our purpose. That's what's been asked of us now.
Right, right. It's funny because we've been, doing all kinds of other programs, including like the sense of, for me, like a sense of like a slave program. This is what you do. You must do these things, and now we're waking up from that dream. Like, wait a minute, we can. I mean, there's more to life than this. Like going to work and just doing whatever it seems like it's gonna keep us in survival and maybe give us a little bit of comfort, but not much beyond that. And then eventually I'll retire, and then I'll finally, I finally have some kind of a real life, and like we wait our whole life to have a life. I mean, it's crazy. So but how can I actually do exactly what's true for me, and do it in a way that feels right for me? Because I think, we're some, me and you like to talk about what seems to, some of the nonsense ideas that go on, even with this in the spirituality realm. And I think one of the nonsense ideas is that fun looks like the same thing for everyone. There are some people, I do feel that they're of such a human design, or it's in their records or whatever, that they can sustainably, maybe work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Who knows, for all I know, right? People are wired a certain way. Maybe it's their path. But for
Mm,
some of the rest of us, no, I need to work 10 hours a week. I mean, like, that's it. That's hardcore for me. And yet, like, when we look at it from our minds, we're like, well, a person working 80 is way more valuable than a 10-hour person. It's like, well, that's such a linear old way of looking at things. It's so much BS. Doesn't matter how many hours, it matters that you're in sync with what's your true nature,
mm,
and that's what contributing to humanity
mm,
the most, right? I mean, during this time. And so you could
yeah.
speak to it better than I can on the specifics of like what things are in Akashic Records and human design and whatnot, but that's what I know to be true just in general. And but these
Mm,
plastic ideas come around. You got to work hard. Everybody's the 80-hour a week
mm,
person or 100 hours at least, and all these
yeah.
ideas. And I think people are well-meaning by sharing these things, but it's not for everybody. And there's so many people suffering, struggling, or not, or even having supposed success, that are struggling a lot and are very deep, dark energy because they've bought into
Mm,
these ideas.
mm. I think we are literally from birth. I use the word we are being brainwashed.
Yeah.
And like really, because like the whole world is basically built on this construct that there's not enough, dog eats dog, you're certainly not worthy or enough. Who do you think you are? Yeah, if you like you're an artist, or well, you can't be an artist, you'll be starving. Yeah, so we are already from birth encouraged to fit into a mold. And it also starts with school, right? We are very much fostering the logical part of the brain, the left part of the brain. And it's all about regurgitating information, really. Yeah, if I look at the school system, learning by heart, yeah, it doesn't make you a good human being, does it? And so I think, especially now, we really need to notice these patterns, these thoughts that we have that are so ingrained, we don't even realize that this is the BS. Yeah, because 95 or whatever, 98% of the planet believes in it. They
Right.
agree. So it also takes a lot of courage to go against the herd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's so many thoughts like money. I mean, there's a collective feeling, even though we can say, no, it's all positive. I've broken through all my limits and ideas about money. But in truth, if you're honest, I think most people continue to have an idea. Well, maybe it could be too greedy, and maybe money's evil, and maybe money this and money that, and
Mm,
and it seems like it must be real because it's so persistent. I can't seem to get it out of my consciousness, these ideas. And well, yeah, because when I mean, for me, like growing up in Christian denomination, it's like you go to church, you're told money's the root of all evil. I mean, like that message it's in the Bible, it's from
mm-hmm,
God, okay, and it goes in your
mm-hmm,
subconscious. How can you shake it now? I mean, then you get all the reinforcement in so many different ways. This idea and the view of people that have money that seems so evil and it must be evil. Like, and so, I mean, it seems so true. And then we come to realize, oh my God, this isn't true. This is just these made up stories. And yeah, there's people that are using the energy of money in these ways or those ways, but it doesn't mean that money is the root of all evil. I mean,
yeah.
so not at all. So very interesting how these things that are so not true seem so true, and yet the things that are so true, like tuning in your Akashic records and living from that space of knowing who you are and from that place of living who you are, is really what's true, and that seems crazy. Whereas right? Whereas that's really where the real juice is. It's incredible.
Yeah, and you mentioned the name, and it's actually true. We are being born literally into a slave culture, and we don't realize how much we are being enslaved
Yeah.
because the whole system is also working around us getting a job, right? Like you don't really learn at school to think independently, to foster entrepreneurial traits. It's all about what do you want to become when you grow up, you know? Um, yeah, and so of course the people that are more entrepreneurial, or they think, or they're already born thinking differently, um, they don't fit
Right. 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 I mean,
until you
like when
just,
I right,
sorry.
exactly. We don't. We're not the norm, right? So yeah, and you're crazy, you'll never make it, you gotta either be crooked or, super smart or both to be able to make a lot of money doing that. You gotta be really salesy, you gotta be willing to rip people off. That's
That's
the people
right. That's
for the
right.
big money.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not true. So, at all. I mean, some of the most loving, heart-based people are making just tons of money, billions of dollars, even. I mean, so it's just not true. And a lot of people had no. They were all considered, people are considered idiots probably in school, but they're brilliant at business, right? So the idea you're not smart enough, not good enough, you're too broken. Yeah, there's people that have had all kinds of addictions and all kinds of mental health problems that had successful businesses. So it's just a whole big, well of lies. But yeah, there is. I mean, we don't want to feed it more, but just to awaken people. Yeah, there's a whole slave system that is working in a direction of consciousness that is what we've participated in so far. And now it sounds like it's based on what you're saying and what I have heard from other, from myself and others, are saying is time. It's time to be done with that.
yeah. That's the invitation, I think, globally.
Yeah.
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 And
So I
I mean,
think.
the cool
Go
thing
ahead.
I
No, go
see
ahead.
is, if you look at globally, when I said we need to look at our shadows, yeah, we need to do the work now, the inner work, to really look at, what's holding us back, what are the beliefs. And I also see that now the shadows in our world, yeah, for example, Black Lives Matter. Um, in America, thank God, this policeman being actually, um, what's the word? Well, being made responsible for his actions. Yeah. So there's, yeah, uh, sexual assault, like in Australia, a woman in Parliament, a member of Parliament, got raped in Parliament House. Yeah. So
Mm,
stuff is coming up that would normally be put under the rug. And
Right.
that is also, I think, the energy that we are in at the moment. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's because we need to bring it to the light in order to see squarely what we're dealing with and then transmute it, change it.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's why the world seems so horrifying now. It's like I always say, like, well, it seems so horrifying, but honestly, this has existed for so long. It's just that, it wasn't coming into the light of day. The internet basically has changed all that in terms of like, how it's happened, specific. But yeah, I mean, the information has gotten out there and people are more awake, and yet there's some people that still buy old narratives and ideas, but that's part of the process, is that everybody is going to have their own opinions and ideas, but there's more of a shift to this deeper awakened awareness. And
Mm,
I've thought like the idea of like, I don't want to believe some of the ideas that come out, like, well, black people are oppressed and there's systematic racism and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I don't want to believe that. And no, that's not, maybe it's not true. And let's try to find out how it's not true. And, and yet, I know from the people I talk to that are my own friends, even they've experienced many, many instances or perpetual instances, even of
mm,
discrimination, racism, etc. Do I agree with everything that happens through any movement? No, I don't. I don't. Like
mm,
I could name a movement, I'll find a problem with it. I'll say, find all the virtue, and ultimately it's all good, right? But it's like I'll say,
mm,
yeah, I
mm,
don't agree with what they're doing there, but
mm,
they're pointing
mm,
to something that we're supposed to pay
mm,
attention to. So I think that
mm,
that's the invitation too, is not to throw out everything that's being shared and something like that, for example, for people who have a problem with it, because there's something in it that is so important for us to pay attention to.
mm,
And I think a lot of people, like with that one, that is one that some people are very into, even my listeners, because I got diverse listeners in terms of viewpoints. And some of the people I'm sure are thinking like, that's just agenda, that's a communistic agenda to turn all the minorities, against the majority, and whatever, what I'm going to say, people know.
mm,
But it's and even if that's true, and it is there's truth to it, there are truths to these things, but it's also true, all the other doesn't mean the other things aren't true. So it's like, we need to look at all of it. We need to look at all of it, is my
uh,
point. It's my perspective anyway. We need to embrace
absolutely.
everything and
Well,
embrace our shadows.
I think love what you said, because it, what I just saw is the mind. There's the difference between our soul, our spirit, our connection to the higher self versus the mind and the ego mind. Yeah. And so the mind always wants to be linear. Yeah.
Yeah,
Versus, yeah, it's either black or white. No, it's not right. Yes, it's right.
it is.
Versus, no, 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 there are shades of gray. Like, not, yeah, exactly what you're saying. There's certain truths, and it's up to us to really look at it.
Yeah.
What is true and what is not, what is conspiracy, what's not, yeah, versus the ego black and white. Well, this is my stand, and I'm a Republican or whatever, so now I have to think this way.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Um,
slave mind, really. It's slave mind. We don't realize it, but it is. You think it's good, you think it's right, but it's really slave mind. If you can't investigate, if you can't see, I just did a show on this recently, and I've done many shows on these sorts of things recently. So it's like I'm always doing these sorts of shows. So I'm like, listen, you have to realize, no matter what your leaning is, politically or otherwise, or anything on anything, it's just your concept. It's just where you are right now. And you have to let go of all that and realize I might not know anything about any of this. I mean,
mm,
and come back to zero, because then you can actually look at everything more objectively and say, oh, yeah, I see something here. I see something there. I see, like you see
mm,
some truth
mm,
in everything. You see lies in everything too. You can kind of have them, you're more open. And yeah, when I have to make choices or I'm guided to do something about certain things, then that's what we take action on in our purpose. Like it's maybe not be your purpose to spend 20 hours a day researching about Black Lives Matter. I'm sorry, it just may not be your purpose, as important as it is. Okay, it may
Yeah.
not be your, but people are doing things like that, right? It's like
Mm,
it may be a distraction to your deeper purpose that may create more good and more impact, maybe even for
yeah.
those particular causes. I think that's so
Yeah.
important.
And I think what's important is again, the mind will always try and blame and be in a way against the other that doesn't think, the way you might think. And we have free will. I think it's really, really important to stay in dialogue with people, even if they're totally the opposite opinion. Yeah,
Right.
because there's like the divide that is happening at the moment is alarming for me.
Yeah.
And it means that we are literally fighting each other. Yeah, the pro vaxxers, the anti vaxxers, um, yeah, uh,
Get the shot, or you're not getting the shot. What are you? Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's also when we go deeper, yeah, you can still have your stand, I mean, your opinion. But I think it's really good to open up and at least listen to somebody
Yeah.
else and make it okay because that's their opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so brilliant, Shivani. I mean, that reminds me of my, I'm sure it's been said many times, and maybe I even sort of said this before I heard this, but I love like one of my mentors says, you can resolve 100% of disagreements if you do one thing. Have both people sit down, even or whatever, or a group of people. Everybody sits down. One person talks. Everybody listens, or the one person listens that's there, right? Just listen. You do nothing but listen, and then when they're done, that's it. You don't need to respond. You don't need to counter argue. You don't need to agree or disagree. Then you stop, and then you can share whatever you want to share, and you just go back and forth, full listening, full sharing. And by the time you're done, everybody will be fine. Everybody will be like, okay, I feel good. I shared those things and I was listened to, right?
Mm,
I was heard. And
yeah.
I've also heard something too. I heard them, and that feels good. And it really takes you into that deeper space. So, yeah, I'm very passionate about what you're talking about. Like, that is so
Mm.
important for the awakening of the consciousness is for us to be a full sharing, but also a full listening. We're doing a lot of yelling at each other right now
Well, and
still.
also
It's
respect
a little bit
needs to
better, I
come
think.
in.
But yeah.
Like
Hmm.
what I see is the respect is missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how some people treat each other just
Hmm.
because you have a different opinion. Yeah,
Right.
like the name calling and the like, come on.
Right.
What, like we've become more and more um intolerant.
Right.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and we've
Right.
become dehumanized. Like I think already with the lockdown, the masks, that's already happening. But I think even internal from a lot of people, yeah, if we are online and we see somebody share something, and like the comments I see sometimes, like I feel hurt for the person
Yeah.
receiving it. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? There's
Right.
no reason to treat each other that way.
Hmm. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
But
I'll share anything on this show, but I don't share anything on a post anymore on those subjects because
yeah,
I know even my best friends might put some stuff on there. And some people just can't seem to control themselves. So I'm just like, no, I'm not going to even go there.
yeah,
As far as that, I'll be happy to do Facebook Live and do it here, or not even a Facebook Live because then they go in the comments, and so. But here, I just don't find anybody, comes running after me. Then it's harder to, get after you about it. Then people don't bother. I notice, like,
mm,
do. If you want to do a Facebook Live where we get together and talk about this civilly, I'm all for it. It ends 100% of the conversation right there because they don't want to do that. Like, if you want to go deeper, fine. Let's do a Facebook Live. Let's get on the phone. Whatever. If unless they know me well, then it's 100% going to just end it, and we're not going to talk more about it because they don't really want to do that. But they're
mm,
just a way. It's just like this reflexive, like thing that we
mm,
do. I think that's a
mm,
big part of what we need to totally let go of, and see how ridiculous we're really being. I mean, many years before the internet got started, we told people would be doing things like this. You'd be like, please, I hope that's not our future. That's so ridiculous, yet we're doing it, right? So let's
mm,
stop it.
mm, mm. And good. sh- how do I say that? Like whenever I want to react or do something, I quite often ask myself if I would be on my deathbed, literally, is it important? Like in the scheme of things, yeah, is getting upset about whatever, is
Mm-hmm.
it really important? Does it really matter? And usually it doesn't,
Right,
right?
right. It doesn't. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It's a good measurement though, right? Right. And I mean, what I love about these interviews sometimes is we get on these touch subjects that we didn't plan to talk about this necessarily. We left it open, and it's like, but it's exactly these are things that people are dealing with constantly every single day in their life. Is these ideas of what side are you on? What do you believe about these things? We're saying hold your beliefs a little bit lighter about all these different subjects is what we're really sharing with you, because we can promise you it will lead you deeper into an awakened state, and it'll make your life better, and you'll be more effective in anything and bring greater
Mm.
change. So I think that's I
And
think that's
also
what our
use your reactions with whatever to go deeper. Yeah, like
yeah.
what we now I think need to do is, okay, you have, like, okay, you're reacting, and if
Mhm.
you're not conscious, that's when you start blaming. Yeah, this person is a fault, you made me feel whatever, but
Right.
nobody can make you feel anything. It's your reaction.
Exactly.
So that is that's for me, your soul actually going, hey, have a look at this. This needs healing if you choose to.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the invitation that we have now, instead of blame, reaction, being ugly to each other. And it's all on the mental plane.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah. And ultimately, we have free will. This is part of the game here on planet Earth. So there's no God or nobody out there that will punish you, no matter what you believe or do. We just have free will. Yeah. I mean, some people are more connected. So obviously, if you're in hate, in fear, you're not connected to who you are. You pinched yourself off. But we still have free will. Even that
Mm-hmm.
is free will. You can pinch yourself off. That's okay. You won't get punished.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you want to be safe, and have good juju in your life, no matter what the outer circumstances seem to be, yeah, just go ahead and come back to center. Whether you need to look at some of your reactions and your shadows, or just get still and present, or all of it. And you'll see it happen. I promise you, 1,000% of the time, because nothing bad can happen to you if you continue to um, take care of yourself, and by exploring these things and being really present, and only the if so-called bad things come in your life, then they're only trying to show you something that you really do need to take a look at, and
Mm,
and that's the gift in it. And it could be cancer, it could be
mm,
some kind of illness. It could be broken relationship. It could be you don't have any money left. You're bankrupt. It could be
mm, mm,
anything.
mm.
And yet I can
Yeah.
tell you, I mean, some of those things I've experienced in my life, and I can tell you they're all gifts. They're all gifts. They're here to help us. They're here to help us. They're
Absolutely.
whatever it
Yeah.
is, whatever it is, whatever the calamity is. So people
Yeah.
have power over me. I won't be able to live the way I want to. And okay, well, you keep telling that story. You'll create it for yourself. Well, somebody, your next door neighbor, that's living in the same world, so to speak, is creating a different reality. So
Yeah.
it's just what you think all the time. So
Yeah.
all
And I
that
think
being
that's the cool thing. Like, we need to really, the invitation is to become a master of our energy and also of our reality. I mean, we are born with it, but now it's the stakes are higher. Yeah.
yeah.
So now, like, for example, there's so much fear on the planet at the moment. Yeah. If you look planetary, people fear of dying, losing their job, losing money. We are in this collective fear frequency. And so it can be a bit harder for those of you who are woken up, but not impossible. Yeah. So harder as in, who am I in relation? Can I get out of fear? Because the thing is, as soon as you're in fear, you can't hear your intuition because you're contracted. So whatever you're thinking, even you're thinking it's guidance, it's not, because you're coming from fear. Yeah. So the first step would be come back into relaxation, back into love.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally, totally. And one way we can do that is through tuning into the Akashic Records, right,
Yeah.
Shivani?
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I wanted to talk more about that. So again, tell us a little bit more about the Akashic Records briefly and how you work with them and help people with it. And then you were going to do a little bit of reading with me or work with me. So
Hmm.
I'd like to get right into that now. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Sure. So yeah, look, I am following a particular system that exists on the planet only once because it's been channeled through. Yeah. So that teacher, like, that way of approaching the Akashic is unique. And I say that because what I see a lot is people use the word Akashic, but they almost interchange, it's an interchangeable word for psychic reading. Yeah. And a lot of the training that I see, and again, I do not make anybody wrong. And I see that the training is, oh, you just open yourself up and whatever comes in. And because I get people for readings that go, well, I've had this other Akashic reading and I felt good at the time, but it didn't mean anything really. Yeah, it didn't change anything. Yeah. So anyway, I have a very specific system. The first reading and clearing that I offer, you do once a lifetime. Okay, so forget about psychic reading because it's a big, full on, deep process to bring your soul back into wholeness, back to who you are at soul level, because a lot of people don't realize the soul gets injured through trauma. Yeah. And I mean, we're experiencing trauma right now, but we've also had many traumatic lifetimes and we forget, but we are acting out of that trauma today, right? And so the first reading takes hours in the privacy of my home. We are looking, it has two parts to it. One is the profile. That's where I can look up who you are at soul level, like your soul group of origination, your divine gifts, your life lesson this time around, soul specialization. And that gives a really good picture who you are and what you're here to do. Yeah. And the second part is looking deeply where the blocks, restrictions, and karma. And I also help people to look at how does that play out today, because ultimately I do not care that 10 lifetimes ago you were whatever and did whatever. I'm more interested, okay, so how does that play out today? Because karma doesn't just move from one lifetime to the next. Yeah. Unless you become conscious of it and then you take new physical action steps, nothing shifts. So, very deep session, people get home clearing, I clear, and they're literally different. You know, it's hard to explain. Well, I'll give you an example. That was a bit dramatic. Um, I read for somebody. She did the clearing. I had no idea that she had problems reading. So she explained to me that she would look at a word, and normally she would see the first letter and the last letter, and she would fill it in. And she lived like that all her life, basically. Yeah, she was told she's whatever, dyslexic, ADHD, you name it. When she finished with the 3-week clearing, like it's a 1-month process, she told me excitedly that for the first time ever, she can read the whole word. Yeah, like although it's totally woo, the Akashic, it has very physical repercussions. Yeah, your behavior will change. What got you upset, doesn't anymore. So we're bringing you back to wholeness, which also means you get more of your divine gifts through everything, yeah, comes through. And then, of course, so it's literally a new door opened. And then, as soon as you also take physical new action steps, because we're in the physical, a lot of miracles happen. Yeah, so that's the first reading. And then depending how, anybody can have that reading. And then depending where you're at, you can move further with me by looking at the manifesting blueprint. How we manifest and create at soul level is actually different because we are unique. Yeah, so if you had problems with the law of attraction, if it's hit and miss, that's maybe the missing piece. For example, our culture is goal orientated. At soul level, you can be process orientated. And so many people that are process orientated, they go, oh my God, there's nothing wrong with me. Because yes, they have a goal, but the process of becoming, the journey is so much more important than the goal and the vision board and they're very differently wired and they would do business differently. And then
Right.
there is a business record, which is the sub record of your personal record. And that's for people who are the business. Yeah. So if you're a coach, you're a healer, you're a shaman, you're an energy, you literally are the business. And when I work long term with people, we look very, very deeply into the business record to see what needs aligning so the person makes the money they want.
Perfect.
Whether
That's
that's
great.
sales, whether, like it works. Like, because the way it works is so people say, hey, I want to make 10K a month, 20K a month, whatever. And then the first thing I look at is, okay, is it probable? And I get a percentage. So probability means who the person is and what they've put in place. It's like, yeah, it's 80% probable to go from whatever 10 to 20K a month. Yeah. And then, and if it's not probable, I also look at, okay, is it possible? Is it even possible? And get a percentage. Yeah. So that, and I look at that because quite often we are in magical thinking. So somebody who makes 5 grand a month simply can't usually go to 50 grand a month in 6 months' time because we are in the physical and the stretch vibrationally is too big. Yeah. So then I would go back and say, hey, let's
Right.
Let's adjust the figure. But then I look at, okay, so what is already 100% aligned, and then what is not. And then we really go into the nitty gritty. So is it sales? Is it the offer? Is it the price point? Is it joint venture people that are not aligned? Is it marketing? And really go into the nitty gritty, and where usually we have to take something away and put something more aligned, like a
Right.
practice in. Yeah.
Right.
And then it's, of course, application of
Yeah.
the action steps. And yeah, I had, like I said, you very quickly sent me your particulars, and I had a look. And I also just looked at one tiny aspect of your soul profile, but important aspect, and that's your divine gift, which is what is your soul literally made of. Yeah. And the more you can accept and lean into that, the easier it will be. And you, Daniel, are the quintessential coach. You came
What does
up
that mean?
as
Intestinal? What's the word?
yeah. So basically, your gift. You can have one gift, or you can have two. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you have one standalone gift, and that is divine wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And divine wisdom are the most, like, you basically bring the wisdom of the universe down into the physical, and you help people look through the illusions of what's happening. Yeah. The illusions that we talked already about. There's not enough money, you're not good enough. And the quintessential expression is the coach. Isis, stop. Sorry. Um, so you are very practical. Like, although you're very connected, like but you're also practical. So whatever you do has to have a practical application. Yeah. Um, you're more logically wired. What else can I tell you about divine wisdom? Probably when you were a child, you had to go to certain, I don't know whether you had to go to church or go and visit Aunt Mary once a week, and that would have been hard for you, yeah, to actually look at the conventions that you witness and grow up with as a child. Yeah, so you bring the wisdom of the universe into the physical with practical application. Yeah, being a mentor, being a coach is perfect. Now, if I look through the lens of business, you will have problems possibly with marketing, because you're wired in the way that, well, 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah, you're practical, but you're also logical. And it's probably, well, with divine wisdom, these souls usually find it difficult to address people emotionally in a marketing situation. Yeah, because for you it's like, well, makes sense. Of course you need this next course, or of course you need to work with me. It's just logical, it makes sense. But
Mm-hmm.
people always have an emotional, yeah, they buy emotionally, and then they back it up with
Right.
logic.
Mm-hmm.
So either you people with divine wisdom, they need to learn that piece, how to connect emotionally, or they need to outsource, just outsource the whole marketing. I don't know, like, would you say this is not your forte?
No,
Marketing of, with all the other skills you have, is marketing easy for you, or is,
I think marketing is something that's pretty natural for me, for sure. For other people, for myself, it's it's kind of been, spotty in terms of like how effective the marketing always is. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's been really good and sometimes it's not. So yeah, so I can understand what you're saying. So what I'm
Mm.
hearing is that when I'm writing things out, I'm like, wait a minute, it all makes sense to me. I don't just what's it's like that part of me that's like that in my mind. I'm not saying literally believe this, but like, what are you stupid? It's so obvious. Come on,
Yeah,
get on it.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
totally relate
yeah,
to that.
yeah.
Cool.
Because yeah, I'm just looking at my book and see what I've. So basically, you help us break free from the illusions of limitations that are pervasive throughout our society, and you help us understand how to work with universal law to create our own experience. And you're probably thoughtful, introspective. You're an excellent listener, and you give amazingly insightful, succinct advice. Um, very, yeah, you embrace logic and common sense over emotionality, and you're very reasonable and highly principled. Yeah, and yeah, you you're very grounded as well, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then let me have a look at this. So this is the business book. So and being a that's just business. And my memory, like I'm really good in the moment. If I have to learn something by heart, I mean, I know certain things, but I, I'm even as a kid, I couldn't
Very
regurgitate.
tuned in, so you don't have the mental memory is dialed
Yeah, so
in.
yeah, let me just, that's the wrong, hang on, just seeing, sorry, I'm just trying to, mm, okay. Sorry, I'll just look at the business. And although I love my teacher, she is so bloody right-brained that there's no index and no, like you would have a field day, Daniel. It's definitely not logical how she's organized. Okay. All right. Okay. The biggest issue that you might face in business is dealing with clients who just don't get it. What's obvious to you is absolutely not obvious to most people. Have you, yeah? Um,
Oh yeah, yeah,
well,
definitely.
yeah, for this reason, you might get easily frustrated with prospects who don't buy, even though the purchase is the obviously correct choice. um, yeah, you love automation, love the internet, because again, for example, if you have divine love, I would actually say to people they're not great with the internet or anything automated. Yeah, so yeah.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and so for example, if you're a great analysis, you're a great analyst.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and you will become frustrated managing a team. And we talked about that before we recorded, remember? The team bit.
Managing a team. Yeah. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
had frustration with
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
have. Yeah, I
Um,
have had frustration with that. It's funny though,
yeah.
and it depends if it depends on the role I'm playing. I can be very good with teams, but I can have a
Mm,
lot of frustration in certain circumstances. Absolutely.
yeah. And for you what I would recommend is if you wanted to like question and answer calls for your clients or potential clients, because if you can showcase how amazing you are with your coaching, that is very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is it. I mean, I do my energy scan reads, and I do, share my coaching with people, and
Yeah.
they feel my
Yeah.
energy, they feel my heart, they feel my sincerity and love, and that's pretty
Yeah.
irresistible to the right people.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sales
Yeah. I
part
mean,
is
you're doing it already.
yeah, sales, sales is. Sales is pretty easy. I mean, as long as I don't get in
Yeah,
my
you would
my
be good at sales. Yeah.
I get in like, oh, I shouldn't be. You decide whatever you want, blah blah blah. Like I go in that kind of mode. That's when it's always killed my sales. But if I'm just being myself, it's natural. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So great. No, that I mean it really does resonate. I mean, I could talk about more of the details, with you privately maybe, but like, yeah, I mean, this is the incredible aspect of what you do is like, I mean, when I work with people, like I get all this really cool stuff. I get probably very much the same sort of information in my own way, but it's not to get to all these specifics. It might take me longer. It may, I don't know. And it's just all different, but like you've got it like defined. It's like
Mm,
there's a power to that. Like this just generally will work much better for you. And it's like just automatic. Like we don't have to wait a minute, let me tune in deeper or whatever. So that's what something that is really, really cool about it. And then you have your own intuition too that integrates into the whole process that I know, like your own
mm.
inner intuition, that you're
Oh,
tuning
yeah.
into. Right. So I mean, so this is why, I'm going to be working with somebody that doesn't do what you do, but does things along these sorts of lines in a way, right? I think you would agree with that. It's different, but it's along similar lines.
Mm.
And because I understand the power of this sort of work, so I think this is great. I know you had we're running out of time. I know you had a gift for everybody if they wanted to connect with you,
Yeah.
wanted to actually, gain more value from your work. So you want to tell them about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me, I think the crux of everything really is learning how to tune into your own divine guidance. And not only that, but also trust it and act on it, because we are all getting guidance, no exceptions. Yeah. And so that gift is basically a PDF file, but I go through all the way your intuition can be, what to look out for, and how to deepen that relationship with your own spirit. Because I think imagine for a moment you would never ever have to second guess yourself whether you should do something or not, or or you make a decision and you don't know, and yeah um, it's just a shortcut. And it's also a process, because quite often our intuition is not logical, and so it's learning to trust that. And it also doesn't come with a 10-page plan, because that's what the ego mind wants. Yeah. The intuition usually comes one thing at a time. And it's learning to trust and go and do whatever, you're asked to do. And then the next thing will come. So, yeah, it's learning how to trust, know what is your intuition and what is ego mind. That's the gift.
Yeah. So again, you have a free gift for people. So I wanted to make sure you went ahead and shared that. So you've got an ebook to share with people?
Yep, I've got an ebook, just trying to bring it up. So it's basically um, learning how to develop a relationship with your higher guidance so that you can create and live create what you want and live your purpose. And looking at the energetic signature of your guidance, how guidance comes in, how you differentiate between ego and soul, and how to use this information so you can live your life easier.
That's the key. That's the key.
Absolutely.
Literally, you have a key on the cover, it looks like. So that's the key.
I reckon, yeah, for all of us.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice, nice.
And
Okay,
it's
great.
and I give you a hint. It's in the body, not your mind. Yeah, we literally have to get out of our mind and create a relationship with our body, because we need to be embodied. um,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just so invaluable, is to understand your own energetic signature for your guidance, like you share in the book, so that people can
mm,
really understand, how to tune into their own guidance within their body, right? So
mm,
that alone is worth a lot, and I just love learning more about such things, because how can we make it as easy as possible? Is always what I'm
mm,
always sharing. How can we let this be as easy as possible, with as natural as possible? So take advantage. Now, if you go to shivany.com/ebook dash gift / that's where you'll find it. Shivany is spelled Shivany. So shivany.com / ebook dash gift / and we'll put it in the show notes. So thank you so much for sharing that amazing gift. We've come to the end of the time,
mhm.
unfortunately, but do you have any last quick messages, quick message or last words to share with your
Last
audience?
words. You're here for a reason. And I really believe we all need to go deep and find our purpose, why you're here. And we are all much more powerful than we believe. And you can create your own reality. So that's, yeah, last words. And trust. Trust we are equipped to be in these times. You wouldn't be alive. You're here, right? So make the best of it.
Right, you are here.
You're
Okay?
here.
It's like
You
it's
obviously
like
put your hand up to be here, right? So,
exactly. It is a beautiful place, as long as you're willing to embrace it. So,
yeah,
okay, thank you, Shivany. Thank you so much. I'm so
thank you.
glad that I had you on. We had such an amazing conversation, and then you shared incredible, information with me from the Akashic Records, and that's so value the work that you do, and look forward to everybody taking advantage of what you're offering them, and going further with you as well. So, thank you so much for coming on today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Okay, and thanks for all the audience for being here today. If you want to check me out, by the way, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com, get your free meditate and make money meditation, and get it aligned with, the energy and the downloads you need for the day. Open those chakras and let the signals come in, so that you can let money come in. Again, the easy way, more easy tools to let the money come in. So you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com for that. And I'm just so grateful for all of you listening, and for Shivany sharing today. And so we give thanks to the guides, everything and everyone, and all things that make this possible today. And as usual, keep on tuning in, and we'll keep on rocking it here at Spirits for Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone, and goodbye for now. For listening to Spirits for Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.